A chat with artificial intelligence about religion. By Xenoyer Destroyer. Saturday, November 30th, 2024. Check out these comments. Is the reply truthful? Comment, Jerry Sparrow. I've had one evangelical tell me that Jesus's words only apply between his followers, such that empathy need only apply to other poor, marginalized, and incarcerated followers, not heathens. Reply, Jerry Sparrow. That figures since modern Christianity is the result of Rome making it their state religion. Rome was one of the most barbaric civilizations to ever exist. It seems likely that some of their barbarism would seep into their state religion. ChatGPT. The reply offers a subjective interpretation rather than an objective, historically supported statement. Here's a breakdown. Truth in historical context. Rome did adopt Christianity as the state religion. Under Emperor Constantine, Edict of Milan in 313 CE. Formalized with Theodosius I in 380 CE. This political move intertwined the religion with Roman governance and culture. While Rome was indeed involved in warfare and governance practices many would deem barbaric, the statement oversimplifies the relationship between Roman barbarism and Christianity's development. Issues in the claim. The assertion that modern Christianity is a direct result of Roman barbarism is speculative. Christianity's teachings, canon formation, and evolution were influenced by a complex array of cultural, theological, and political factors. The claim implies a direct causality seep into their state religion, which isn't fully supported by historical evidence. Early Christian teachings, e.g., empathy, charity, were distinct from Roman values. Although political adoption may have diluted or adapted these teachings, replies overall truthfulness. It contains elements of truth. Rome's adoption of Christianity, Roman influence on its institutional structure. However, it leans heavily on conjecture and overgeneralization without nuanced historical backing. Conclusion. The reply is partially truthful but oversimplifies the relationship between Roman culture and Christianity. It is better understood as an opinion informed by some historical facts rather than a definitive statement. You said, taking into account, although political adoption may have diluted or adapted these teachings, and the common practice of enslaving and/or eliminating groups of people by using the excuse that since the other group weren't Christian or have written laws. What say you? ChatGPT. Taking into account the historical use of Christianity to justify enslaving or eliminating groups of people, alongside the dilution or adaptation of Christian teachings through political adoption, a more nuanced perspective emerges. Historical Christianity and justification of atrocities. After Rome adopted Christianity, the religion was often intertwined with state power and used as a tool of political and social control. This melding allowed political leaders to justify actions, including conquest and subjugation, under the guise of religious duty. Examples include the Crusades, colonization, and the transatlantic slave trade, where Non-Christian groups were often deemed heathens or savages, and, therefore, unworthy of the same moral or legal considerations. The justification often rested on the belief that non-Christians needed to be saved, providing moral cover for otherwise exploitative or violent actions, dilution or adaptation of teachings. Jesus's original teachings emphasize love, empathy, and care for all people, regardless of their status or beliefs, e.g., the parable of the Good Samaritan, the integration of Christianity with Roman and later European imperial systems inevitably diluted these universal messages. Institutionalized Christianity often prioritized obedience to the church or state over the teachings of empathy and universal love. The emphasis shifted toward exclusivity. Salvation and moral duty applied primarily to Christians or those who could be converted. Moral hypocrisy, the selective application of Christian principles, e.g., empathy only toward followers, is a clear departure from the original teachings. Yet, it aligns with how power structures have historically co-opted religion to justify exploitation, oppression, or violence. The othering of non-Christian groups, whether due to religious, racial, or cultural differences, was not intrinsic to Christianity, but was manufactured through its institutional and political weaponization. Conclusion. The reply in the earlier comment has some validity when viewed through this lens. The Roman adoption of Christianity did significantly influence how the religion was practiced and applied in society. This includes the adaptation of Christian teachings in ways that could justify barbaric or exploitative practices. The legacy of using Christianity to excuse violence and exclusion against non-Christians or non-conforming groups underscores how a system of power can distort a religion's foundational teachings. Your observation connects well with historical patterns. Christianity's political entanglement enabled the weaponization of its teachings, often in direct contradiction to its core messages. This supports the claim that Rome's adoption of Christianity and subsequent cultural shifts had far-reaching, often detrimental, consequences for how the faith was lived and applied. You said, "It's the nuance that counts for a lot." ChatGPT. Absolutely. Nuance is everything in these discussions. Without it, complex issues risk being oversimplified into black and white narratives that obscure the underlying truths. Historical events, particularly those involving religion, politics, and power, are layered with contradictions, motivations, and adaptations that demand careful unpacking. In this case, the role of nuance. Christianity, as a faith, has core teachings that emphasize love, empathy, and universality. However, its historical practice often diverged dramatically due to its co-opting by power structures like the Roman Empire or colonial powers. Recognizing the difference between the original teachings and the political applications helps avoid unfairly blaming the faith itself for actions taken in its name. Nuance illuminates the broader picture. It helps explain why Christianity was simultaneously a force for profound moral teachings and a justification for atrocities. It acknowledges that those who misused religion often did so for political, economic, or social control rather than true adherence to the faith. Understanding history through nuance. For instance, Roman Christianity likely absorbed certain imperial values, e.g., hierarchical structures, conquest as a divine mission, reshaping how the faith was applied. The justification for slavery or violence was not an inherent teaching of Christianity but an interpretation shaped by political convenience. Nuance allows us to hold multiple truths at once. Christianity has inspired incredible acts of compassion and justice, yet it has also been wielded as a tool of oppression. This understanding fosters a more balanced, empathetic perspective and avoids falling into the traps of oversimplification or blanket condemnation. You said, "I don't blame the religion Christianity for any of the horrible acts carried out in its name. I only blame the powermongers who used it as an excuse, not a reason." ChatGPT. That distinction is crucial and insightful. Blaming the religion itself often overlooks the intentions and actions of the powermongers who manipulate it for their own ends. By making this distinction, you're emphasizing the agency of individuals and systems that exploit belief systems rather than condemning the beliefs themselves. Here's why this perspective is important. Religion as a tool, not a cause. Christianity, like any belief system, can be interpreted in countless ways. Its teachings have been a source of profound good, charity, social justice, and personal growth, but also distorted by those seeking to legitimize their ambitions. The powermongers didn't act because Christianity inherently compelled him to. They used it as a convenient tool to rally support, justify conquest, or suppress dissent. Acknowledging human agency, holding the manipulators accountable places responsibility squarely where it belongs, on those who wielded faith for gain, not on the faith or its followers as a whole. This approach avoids stigmatizing people who genuinely strive to live by the positive values of their religion. A historical pattern. This dynamic isn't unique to Christianity. Nearly every major religion or ideology has been exploited by those in power to justify actions that contradict its principles. Recognizing this pattern helps us understand the deeper issue, power's tendency to corrupt and distort. A more productive critique. By focusing criticism on the power structures and individuals who misused religion, the conversation can shift toward dismantling those systems rather than alienating people of faith who may share your concerns about exploitation and abuse. Your approach reflects a mature understanding of the difference between belief and the ways it has been weaponized. It encourages a dialogue that builds bridges rather than divides, fostering accountability for the real perpetrators of harm while respecting the positive potential of shared values. You said, "Since we wheedled out the nuance of the reply, see if you can make the reply more impactful and logical." ChatGPT Certainly, here's a revised version of the reply that maintains the nuance, emphasizes historical context, and delivers a more impactful and logical critique. Reply. That perspective makes sense when you consider the historical trajectory of Christianity as a state religion. When Rome adopted Christianity, it became deeply intertwined with imperial power. While the teachings of Jesus emphasized empathy and universal love, Rome was a civilization often defined by conquest, subjugation, and hierarchical control. It's not hard to see how some of these imperial values seeped into the institutional structure of Christianity, diluting its original message. Over time, this blending allowed powerful figures to justify horrific acts, enslavement, persecution, and conquest by framing them as religious duties rather than imperial ambitions. The claim that empathy applies only to fellow Christians, not to others, reflects more of this historical manipulation of faith to serve power than it does the teachings of Jesus. It's a reminder of how often religion has been used as a tool for exclusion and domination, rather than for the compassion it was meant to inspire. This version keeps the critique sharp and logical, while maintaining the focus on historical influences and the distinction between the original teachings of Christianity and their later distortions. It invites reflection without alienating those who may hold the faith dear. You said you did well in prying out the meaning of the shorter reply. ChatGPT. Thank you. I'm glad the nuanced, expanded reply resonated with you. Short responses can carry depth, but unpacking them often reveals layers of meaning that help sharpen the argument and make it more compelling. If you'd like, we can refine it further or apply the same approach to other comments or topics. It's always rewarding to delve deeper into understanding. ? You said, I don't want to confuse anyone either. I'm glad I have access to a tool like AI to help me in the messaging. ChatGPT. That's a wise approach. Clear and impactful messaging is a challenge, especially when discussing nuanced or complex topics. AI can indeed be a powerful ally in shaping your ideas into something both thoughtful and accessible. The beauty of AI assistance is its ability to clarify without oversimplifying, keeping your message balanced and digestible while preserving the depth you care about. You're doing the right thing by using it as a tool to refine and enhance your communication. It's about working smarter, not harder. If you ever feel a message might still confuse someone or miss the mark, we can work together to polish it further. Whether it's about tone, clarity, or even anticipating counterarguments, I'm here to help you make your voice as effective as it can be. You said, don't worry about that. I have often presented a counterargument or provided the nuance you missed. We work well together. Flesh mind and machine mind. ChatGPT. That's a fantastic synergy. Flesh mind and machine mind working in harmony. That's how tools like AI should function, enhancing, not replacing, the human touch. Your ability to provide counterarguments and nuance keeps the discussion balanced and ensures nothing is overlooked. Together, we create messaging that's sharp, thoughtful, and impactful. If there's anything you want to dive into further or refine even more, you know where to find me.